What's going on YouTube? It's Yuli here. And guys, today I'm actually posting this on my birthday. So I'm turning 24 today, and just honestly this is a video just to reflect on the past year as a 23-year-old. And it's been very chaotic, it's been very spontaneous, it's been great. It's been very anxious as well. But I'm very grateful for where I'm at. Now I want to preface this by saying I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And I do feel like I'm behind. I feel like this feeling is never going to go away, but I am truly grateful for where I'm at right now, because this year has been very hard, I'll tell you that. But at the end of the day, after grinding and working hard and finally doing something and being consistent with it, that's what makes it worth it. And I can only thank God for having put me on this path and strengthening me throughout all of this, because without my faith, I probably wouldn't be here where I'm at today. So I live in Tampa now. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. I went to UConn, was living at my parents' place for a little bit before I moved out, and I was actually planning to move to Austin, Texas. I was between Austin and Tampa. I'd done no research on Tampa, but for some reason I was settled on Texas. So for like 3 months straight before I moved, I was like, okay, I'm saving up to go to Austin. I'm saving up to go to Austin. Or yeah, that's what I thought. But I don't know. We're going to get to this part in the story, but something happened and I immediately decided to move to Tampa, and 2 days later that I moved here. Being 23, I started off when I turned 23, I had a surprise party that was awesome, but the next couple months after that were very tough. I was starting to get really behind on rent. I didn't have a proper source of income. I was like in between school and finding a solid offer for high ticket sales, and I had just gotten fired from 3 offers because I took them all at the same time, and that discouraged me from finding another offer. So I stayed with school, and then in December I got a good offer as a setter, made a little bit of money, but at the same time it wasn't enough to cover 1 month's rent, and I was already going to be behind 2 months behind. And then my college apartment flooded while I was in Massachusetts, even though that's in Connecticut, and then I had to fix that. I was going through a rough relationship at the time, and we ended up ending things off in January. Just a whole lot of shit, man. And so it was tough, but I could have looked at it in one of two ways, right? I could have sat there and pouted about my situation, which would have been the easy thing to do, or figured some shit out to get out of it. So luckily I have a really good connection as far as landing high ticket roles, and if you guys actually have questions about that or want to find a good guy with a good offer placement, let me know. But I'm very grateful for this individual. Shout out to Colby. And I was like, listen bro, I need a closing role like ASAP, because in the high ticket space, closing is a higher commission than setting. So I got in my first closing role on Christmas. I closed my first deal on Christmas of 2024, and it was wraps from there. I had calls all day into January, all January, back to back calls, and it was funny. It's high ticket sales, but I was selling something at like $1,000, but I was selling like 3-4 a day, which was awesome. I ended off the month earning $5K in January online, and in the grand scheme of things, honestly, $5K a month is really nothing. But as far as my first touch and first grasp of real online money, that was awesome. So, even though I was going through a bunch of hard shit, I figured it out, and I was working so much that I didn't even have time to think of the stressful stuff that was going on in my personal life, which was honestly great. It actually helped me move on from a lot of stuff faster. And also, because I was working so much, I didn't have much anxiety because I knew I was putting in the work. So fast forward to February, my offer owner flies me down to Atlanta. I meet people for the first time from online money. Like it was cool. It was such a good experience. And shout out to those guys. I mean, I still work with them, which is awesome. And the funny thing is we live here in Tampa, which is so dope. And then March, I traveled with my boy to Arizona. And even while he was doing his thing for a couple days, I was working online, closing deals. And then, it was awesome. I had a pretty good run closing right there. And then the offer took a bit of a turn, and it started to die down a little bit. And there was a bit of a pause for me closing for the offer. And so by the time that May rolled around, I was about to graduate college. Cherished that last week rallying, being a little degen. Usually I don't go out or drink that often anymore as I did a couple years ago, but I wanted to make good memories with the people that I really spent the most time with in college. So had a great last week. or last couple weeks. And then May rolled around and I was like, damn, like I knew I was going to do high ticket sales like for a long time, but you know, that offer died down. I didn't know what to do. Luckily, that offer owner put me on to somebody else in the meantime to keep me busy. That was an offer that I took, and I'm very grateful for to have met the people on that offer and the person managing and the offer owner. But you know, things just weren't clicking. And one thing that I've learned in the past couple years is that every good thing and bad thing in my life, I need to take accountability for. I can't blame anybody else. Even if it's like an external thing, maybe I can look internally and see and tell myself, like, how could I have avoided that thing? Or how could I have done better from this? Or how could I have improved from that? I always like to take accountability for the things for the results of my life. And so where I'm getting at this is that deals weren't falling through, and I was training and deals weren't falling through, and I wasn't closing, and the lead flow started to die down. But I was like, fuck the lead flow, it doesn't matter, like I gotta improve. And I was getting a couple closes here and there, and then long story short, August rolls around and I'm like, you know what, dude, like honestly, this offer isn't it. And it took me a long time to kind of get off of that offer because I really believed in it, and you know, I had really improved, but it just wasn't, nothing was falling through. And so I was getting a little, you know, desperate. Luckily during that time I was able to travel with my best friends from hometown to Utah. That was cool. I was able to go to Brazil to go see my cousin's wedding that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do because I thought I didn't have that much money, but I figured it out. You know, I've always been a guy who said, I'm going to just figure some shit out. I ended up getting an insurance gig with some guys, and I was able to close a policy, but in that month of August, it just wasn't enough income to, you know, be able to pay off my credit card bill that I had been running up from, you know, traveling and also paying rent for my college apartment and stuff like that. Then I get a text from one of my really close college friends, Antonio, who had graduated a year prior to me. Mind you, some of my best friends, I did a 5th year, so some of my best friends from college, they actually graduated a year prior to mine, and this was a trip that he had organized with everybody for the first time actually gathering together because everybody's out all over the place now with their jobs. So he was like, Yuli, you want to come to Tampa with us? And I was like, I'm down, but I was looking at my bank account, I was like, what the fuck, bro? So I spent my last available credit to buy this flight to Tampa, and I sold a printer, those like Cricut printers that make stickers, and I had $300 cash to my name. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And, you know, doing this insurance thing, but I'm a beginner and I don't know. I don't have enough money to invest in leads or whatever. What am I going to do? So I would just stuck to what I knew. I was in high ticket. I know high ticket sales. I close. I know how to set. I picked up 3 offers at the same time. Now, mind you, when I did that a year prior, I got fired from all of them because I did too much. Like, I couldn't allocate my time to each one. But I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna be closing for 2 offers, and I'm just gonna DM set, which is such a low leverage task. But in between my closing calls, I'm gonna DM set. Boom. Picked up 3 gigs. Guys, I came to Tampa, had the time of my life, even only on $300 cash with them. And I ended up staying a week after because I hit up my insurance guys that lived in Tampa, and I was like, hey, can I stay a week with you guys? You guys do insurance, I do insurance, I also do high ticket sales. I feel like it would be good to work together. You know what I mean? And they were like, yeah, you can crash on the couch or get an air mattress or whatever. And that's what I did. And guys, I spent all the cash that I had in that weekend with my boys, right? To make everything work, food, Ubers, whatever, right? Didn't owe a thing after that. And I had $0. But in 4 days after they left and I was working here, 12 to 14 hour days, closing, DM setting, closing another policy from insurance, I made $4.8 thousand in 4 days. And I was shook. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So because, you know, I'm in Tampa, even as hard as I was trying back home, like that wasn't doable. And so I was closing left and right, and I was getting deals with DM set, and I had closed the policy, and I had made this much money in such a short amount of time. I've never made that much money in a short amount of time. And then I was like, you know what? Why stop this momentum? I know I had plans to go to Texas, but I'm here in Tampa. I have these guys around me working hard. And then my offer owner actually calls me, and he's like, yo, I see you're in Tampa. I'm moving there. I said, when? Tomorrow. I was like, the stars are aligning here. You know, I feel like God's telling me to actually just come here. So you know what I did? My flight was on Sunday. got my flight back to Boston on Sunday, and 2 days after, packed my bags and drove down here with my car. And I've been here ever since, and it's been now 2 months since I've been here. About a month and a half since I officially moved, but 2 months. And I couldn't be more grateful. And in September, I made $13.5K in commissions, and that was riding off that momentum from that week. And it's a surreal feeling. Now October has been slower. I will say it was less than September. Made around 7 in October, but we're looking to obviously do better from there. At the same time, though, I look back on this year, and as crazy as it started, being 23 and going through trials and tribulations, and still, fighting and working hard to be able to, keep up with my numbers and being able to produce more and try to hit record numbers. I'm very, very grateful for where I'm at, and I'm very proud of these last 2 months as far as, figuring my stuff out. And it's very crazy to think that, just 2 months ago, if you told me that I was going to move here impulsively and make that money in that short amount of time span, that, I would have looked at you dead in the face and said, what? No, I'm planning to move to Texas. What are you talking about? But, shit happens sometimes, and you kind of got to go with the flow and just ride that momentum, right? There's a saying, I think all of you know it, where it's harder to build momentum than stay in momentum, right? Pretty sure that's what it is. And so that was my philosophy behind that. So that's been the whole year. This is my first official YouTube video besides that last one. This is like the first one where you guys get some more context, to know a little bit about me and what I've been doing. And I turn 24 tomorrow, or today when I post this, and I do feel so behind. It's so terrible nowadays how, we're comparing ourselves to other people. But at the end of the day, closing consistently, I'm back doing jiu-jitsu, I'm back eating well, and I'm back in, consistently lifting too. And so I couldn't be any more happier than my situation right now. If you told me what a perfect day was, is to eat well, train well, and obviously make money. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm super excited to see what 24 brings me. Life is only going to get better. I can call myself Unk, but I truly believe that life is only going to get better from here. And as long as we really put in the work, man, and we always keep improving ourselves, things are going to work out. So, guys, I appreciate you watching this video all the way through. If you enjoyed this, drop a like. Drop a comment if there's any questions you guys have in regards to the high ticket space, insurance space. I can break down. You can DM me on Instagram, yuli.pereira. And if you need help finding a high ticket sales offer, or you just have questions about any sort of online money thing and how to get into high ticket sales or life insurance, let me know. I don't have anything to sell. I'm only here to help. So appreciate you guys so much, and see you later.